A lot of players and a lot of parents think that when the football season starts, your off-season and pre-season training completely stops. This is one way to guarantee that you lose all of your strength and all of your muscle. I want you to think about something. If you lose muscle tissue, you will lose strength. If you lose strength, you will lose speed and you will lose power. So completely stopping your gym training is not an option. But also, you can't continue to train at the intensity that you've been training at. To do this would mean that you would burn out in no time. Most of you guys have got school games, you've got club games, you've got rep games. So keeping up the intensity and the volume that you've been training at in the off-season and pre-season is not going to work either. Your game at the end of the week is your main priority. Nothing should take away your performance in that game. So your gym training should not take away from that game. We should not be sore from our gym training. We should not be fried from our gym training. So we need to find some middle ground, obviously. We need to do just enough to maintain our strength gains. We need to do just enough volume to maintain our muscle mass. The good news is it doesn't take as much training intensity and volume to maintain muscle and strength as it did to build it in the first place. So how do we do it? So obviously there's not one set method of how you should be doing things. There's no real right or wrong. There's only what you find works. Each coach will have their own methods. No one's better than anyone else. All I can do is share with you what I do with my players, a sort of typical in-season template that I use with my players. It all does come down to the individual. It comes down to their position, comes down to how intense they played the week before, that I will adjust their programming to suit. If they had a big intense game, they're banged up really good, or they might have had jack shit minutes on the field. Everyone's different, so the program is going to be different, but I want to give you something to work with. So this is a typical template that I would work with. So this is, say we had a game on Sunday afternoon, the next day preferably, but no later than 2 days later after the game, we will do an upper body bodybuilding session. So that'll be just reps of 8 to 12, keeping some reps in the tank. So we're not pushing to failure because that will further burn out our central nervous system, pushing to failure. So we leave a couple of reps in the tank, just doing 8 to 12 reps just to get a bit of blood flow through to the muscles, start the recovery process. That's why I do prefer the next day after the game, but some guys may be too sore for that, so we'll, at least 2 days maximum after the game that we would hit that kind of a session. We would do some tempo runs, so tempo runs at about 60 to 70% of your max sprint effort. If those players or we don't have the facility to do sprints, we might do some light sled work or some light squats just to get some blood going through the legs. So that is the day or two after the football game. So Tuesday would typically be club training, and then Wednesday we would do a full body gym session, one main lift for the upper and one main lift for the lower, working at around 70 to 80%, no higher than 80%. That again is going to be taxing on the central nervous system. We're looking at around 2 to 3 sets for 2 to 3 reps max of the 70 to 80%, and then we will do 1 or 2 accessory movements for the upper and 1 or 2 accessory movements for the lower, all working with around 8 to 12 reps, again focusing on keeping some reps in the tank and not pushing to failure. With my exercise selection in season, it won't vary too much. I will not introduce different exercises because obviously that will make them sore. But that will also depend as well. We may have 2 weeks off and then we can go hard for those 2 weeks. But typically our exercise selection won't vary too much. In the off season and pre-season, I am huge with variety in our exercise selection. In season, obviously we don't want to be sore, so we want to typically stick to the exercises that we have a good adaptation to. Thursday would be club training again, so we don't do anything that day. Friday we would rest, but there are certain players like a hooker who may want to go and practice some passing. the kicker of the team may want to go and do some kicking practice, but nothing too hectic. On Saturday, the day before Sunday's game, we will do a mobility and CNS priming circuit. So our mobility work, we will use dynamic static stretching, foam rolling, trigger balls. We want to make sure that we are loose as we can. We want to make sure those hip flexors are as loose as we can get them, making sure our stride length is hitting its full potential, blah, 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 making sure that there are no tight areas. So after we've done all of the mobility things, then we will move on to a circuit that is a central nervous system priming circuit. So the target, the point of this session is to excite our central nervous system, to get us fired up and get us pumped up, ready to go. So we're leaving the gym feeling fucking fresh and feeling better than we have all week. So we will use 4 to 5 exercises with around 30 to 40 seconds rest in between. It might be anywhere from 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 4 reps. Explosive fast movements, med ball throws, sled sprints, box jumps, broad jumps, whatever you can do in an explosive fast manner is going to get you fired up and pumped up. So man, I'm telling you, this session is a game changer. Everyone that does it a day before a game always has a blinder the next day. So it's no coincidence. So Sunday, game day, we will do a smaller, shorter version of Saturday's session. So again, some more mobility work, making sure we're loose, and a couple of CNS exercises in there to fire us up again and to get us pumped up, ready for our game before we go and snap lads on the field. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. If you want to head over to my website, there is the full article on the website. There's a few more things in the actual article that I haven't spoken about in this video. So some really good little tips that you might pick up, and you have a full copy of the in-season template in that article. So head over to the website and check that out. And hopefully this video helps you guys. If you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to reach out.